Alright, so in this video, the DB comment review is going to deal with claim sentences and clincher sentences. So sometimes you may get a comment that just says claim, question mark, clincher, question mark. And what these are is I want to make sure that with your writing that you are kind of scaffolding or strengthening your thesis as you go, building that argument. And the way you build that argument is that you're directly attacking the thesis at every point. That every one of your paragraphs is connected to proving your thesis. And the only way you're going to do that is really, or one of the most effective ways to do that, is if you have claim sentences. You're going to start each body paragraph. So think of this as kind of a mini thesis for your paragraph. You're going to give organization to that part of your argument. So you're going to organize your argument for that paragraph based on what your claim sentence says. Your claim sentence is going to take a part of your thesis, one part of your thesis, and it's going to focus on it. So your claim or your thesis sentence should have 3 or 4 parts, 2 or 3, 4 parts. Your claim sentence is going to focus on one of those parts. And this is also the perfect time to put a transitory statement in there, all the meanwhile, right, to kind of give to link your paragraphs and make it flow. So example, right? So this is the thesis for a DBQ. However, Andrew Jackson's actions towards minorities, the Bank of the U.S., and in awarding to U.S. government jobs paint his administrations as less than democratic. Right, so we got 2 or 3 different things to attack. Actions towards minorities, Bank of the U.S., and awarding U.S. government jobs. So we got 3 paragraphs. So let's take it the claim sentences. So the first claim sentence, so this will be the first sentence of paragraph 1. When considering if Andrew Jackson is a Democratic president, an examination of his policies towards minority groups would shed light on if he was a man of the people. So what is this paragraph going to be about? His policies towards minority groups, and if that paints him as democratic or not. That is a perfect claim sentence. In addition, so let's take a look at paragraph 2. In addition, transition, to owning slaves and forcing civilized tribes to move to Oklahoma, Jackson became single-mindedly focused on destroying the Bank of the U.S., even if the bank did help the country. Again, we know exactly what this paragraph is going to be about. It's going to be about the bank and Jackson trying to destroy it, even if it meant harming the country in doing so. Alright, so claim sentence 3. While leading a charge against the Bank of the U.S., transition, that would stabilize the U.S. economy, Andrew Jackson also awarded jobs in the government to his friends and political supporters. So this paragraph is going to be about him giving jobs to political supporters and his friends, and they probably could have gone a little bit further and said that who were not qualified, or possibly not qualified. So these are 3 very strong claim sentences. This is what I want you to do. So if you need to take a couple seconds and see what this does and what it doesn't do, stop the video here and then continue on. Clincher sentences are kind of at the bottom. These are like mini conclusions for each paragraph. So clincher sentences are not mandatory. Right? Claim sentences are going to be mandatory. You've got to have them there. Claim sentences help organize, help you get to your thesis. It can stand in the place of a thesis if you've forgotten to add that thesis. They're going to be at the end of the body paragraphs, and they kind of summarize the paragraph for you. And they must connect explicitly to your thesis. So let's take a look. The example of the thesis for this paragraph, for this DBQ. While the words of the American Revolution point to it being a very revolutionary event, little changed for most Americans. Men still viewed their wives as property. Men with little property still could not vote, and certainly ethnic minorities did not recognize the liberties secured by the war. So we've got 3 paragraphs again, each with their own topics. So let's take a look at the claim sentences. So we've had this paragraph about women's rights and how it wasn't advanced by the Revolutionary War. And then at the end it says, it would take until 1920 for women to gain the right to vote, the main limiting one in the American Revolution. So again, it's a judgment call. They don't believe the American Revolution was that revolutionary. especially for women, and that's what this entire topic was about. Clincher 2. It was only after popular movements in each state that the landless gained the right to vote and secured their position as citizens. So it's talking about, it's summarizing everything and saying how the revolution didn't necessarily live up to its merits according to their evidence. And then Clincher 3. And so, though the Declaration of Independence stated that all men were created equal, the harsh reality for slaves, freed blacks, and natives living in the U.S. was that those American rights did not extend to them. After you've already had a paragraph that laid out all the evidence that showed that what happened to slaves and what happened to free blacks and what happened to natives during that time. And that is the end of this one. Hopefully you have a better understanding of claim sentences and clincher sentences and how they can improve your writing.